This is my second video about why you need to vote for Bernie Sanders. This video is about getting big money out of politics. So in our current system, you want to run for an office, lobbyists come to you, they give you money, it fuels your campaign, you're able to run for office, you get elected if you get more money, you do whatever they tell you because you owe them now, because they gave you money to get elected, now you belong to them. This is one of the things we might call a corporatocracy. Basically, corporations are the de facto rulers of America. If you want to get elected, you go to a corporation. You get money from oil, tobacco, banks. It used to be that Republicans would get money from oil and tobacco, all that good stuff. Democrats would get money from unions. But whenever unions started to go on a decline and were eventually stripped, Democrats started to take money from banks. This creates a problem because while there are people in the Democratic Party or people who are running as Democrats, like Bernie Sanders, who are doing a good thing, for the most part in both parties, you don't have a beacon of change. You don't have somebody coming in and saying, we need to change this. Bernie's the only one. On the Republican side, you have Trump, who says he won't take other people's money, but it's because he's the funder. He's the rich guy who is giving them money. He's the guy who controls the politicians. So he says, I don't need your money because I'm the guy who already has all of it. I'm going to fight for what's right for me, not what's right for you. So we have politicians who are chosen by corporations, not by the people. This isn't the ideal situation for what a democracy is. This is the ideal situation for a corporatocracy, or if you've ever heard of it, an inverted totalitarianism. This is where democracy is touted as this great thing, where in other totalitarian regimes, democracy is viewed in a negative way. You know, like the Nazis used to look down on democracy. They would make jokes about democracy. But in an inverted totalitarianism, such as the United States, the idea of democracy is touted. We're touted as this great beacon of democracy, as the world's police of democracy. Yet we don't practice democracy. In a democracy, the people choose the politicians, but the politicians are being chosen by money. Money chooses the politicians because so much of it is running through the campaign system. He has promised that any Supreme Court nominees are going to have to promise to overturn Citizens United. He's already tried to clean up the election system that we have in the US in the past. The Disclosure Act would have required disclosure of any members of a group that donated more than $10,000 to a campaign. This of course failed, but he's done many things like this in the past. All of them failing each and every time because people on both sides of the aisle do not want the gravy train to stop. They're making a lot of money off of our votes. And I think Bernie is a lot different than any other candidate on this issue. Why should any country have a campaign system that's a multi-billion-dollar industry? That just shows us how much money is flowing in and out of politics every single time there's an election. Once we get big money out of politics, we're going to see how the country starts to change. We're going to see a considerable difference in the way that politicians make their decisions. Right now, politicians might promise one thing, but they turn around and do something different because they're getting paid to do something different. So what we really have in this country is a facade of rhetoric that covers politicians. What we need in this country, though, is for people to actually say what they mean they're going to do it, and move on. Because people don't want to vote for somebody who says they're going to do something and then does something different. We don't allow that to happen in our day-to-day life. If somebody says they're going to do something and then they do something completely different, you wouldn't want them to be your friend. You wouldn't want them to hang around with you or your family. That would seem like a toxic, destructive person to you. Money creates a facade over our political system. And what makes me think that Bernie Sanders is going to be different than any of these other politicians? He says one thing. Is he going to do it? Well, in Bernie's case, yes, I do think he will, because he has led a grassroots progressive campaign that has centered on the fact his average donation is $30 to $40. Look at Hillary's campaign, where her average donation is over $200, or whatever it is now. I haven't even checked it recently. Her average donations are so high because she's getting massive donations coming in from the rich, from corporations, from super PACs. Bernie Sanders doesn't even want a super PAC. He doesn't have a super PAC because he doesn't even want the chance of being corrupt. That's why I know we can trust him. So this has been my second reason for why you should vote for Bernie Sanders. Getting big money out of politics, this will absolutely be one of the most important issues over the next few years, because this is how we're going to fix all the other issues. This is really where everything starts. This is where we start to change America, to make the system more fair, to make sure that the people who actually deserve to be elected get elected. The way it is right now, the people who get elected are the people who take the most bribes. That is not who I want in charge of my country. And that's what Bernie Sanders is going to change in America. That's why you need to vote for Bernie Sanders 2016. Get big money out of politics. So like or subscribe or whatever.